No, I haven't.
What? Go enter. Hello, welcome to Sunday Sports Show. We're sorry we're a bit late. We're just come back from Derry and we're all in good form except Damien, our Armagh correspondent. So we're joined by Ronan Mortar, special guest, and he's going to tell us about the match today and how we're going to beat Donegal. So Paul, you have a couple of scores of the match today, do you? The minors and the seniors, and we'll run through them.
The senior match ended up, Damien, 2-15 or 2-17 to 1-15. And our minor match ended up 3-10 to 14 points. And as you say, we are all happy and we're glad of Ronan in here tonight.
Thank you.
For a bit of a chat. And any verdict on how you felt the day went, Ronan?
Today I thought our second half performance was very positive. First half I was worried, I was very concerned. Our work rate wasn't where it needed to be. We weren't winning break balls. Our key men weren't getting on the ball. But in the second half, it was like a different team that came out. Whatever James said at half time really worked. 5 minutes into the second half, there was just a transformation. You know, Poley, Kevin McKiernan, Callum King started to dominate around the middle, and we took it from there. But some very, very good performances.
And Patsy Bradley, he sort of dominated the first half, didn't he, round the middle?
Yeah, as I said, James would have been very concerned at half time with turnovers, kickouts, break ball, and Derry had won. And Bradley was very hard to handle in the full forward line, but once we got the grips with him in the second half, Derry didn't seem to have a plan B.
Yeah, the game started off, it was a great game. The first 20 minutes was end to end. It was sort of score for score, and then Derry dominated the 10 minutes before half time. But as you say, Owen Bradley, they tried Benny McArdle and Pete Turley on him. You know, but when Pete got the grips of playing the sweeper and got a bit closer to Benny, you know, it helped out. Even we spoke before went on, the work rate out the field in the second half changed, and they stopped the quality ball going in.
Correct,
which you know, McKiernan had a great lung busting runs. He had 4 great points. Callum a couple of great tackles, you know, but Poley really stepped up and got on the ball when we needed him to.
Our key players, they are key players. They're the leaders, and them guys showed bottle. The whole down team showed bottle in the second half, because we went down 4 points and it didn't look good for us.
And Derry scored the first point the second to put
Derry
us 5
scored the first point of the second half. So there's a bit of character there now, and that again the management team has to be rewarded.
Yeah, and Niall Medine, really, you know, he was impressive in winning ball. A big strong fella for only, what is he, 21?
21, yeah, he's been very, very good for Saville. He's warranted his inclusion in the team now. You know, he's a very, very strong guy. Actually, the 3 debutants done very well today. I felt Keith Quinn had a good game.
And
Ryan Boyle had a good game. So, you know, all's positive. But again, Medine is hard to handle. Very strong.
He's going to be good, yeah. And then,
3 points he had too. Like it. He seemed to keep them in the mix, and when teams were bad, Medine pegged over a couple of scores just to keep us in there. You know what I mean? And he blew up a wee bit towards the end. But you mentioned Peter Turley, boys, and comparing his first half to his second, you couldn't compare them. It was like 2 different men, wasn't it?
And he just got the grips with what he was supposed to do and how to play that sweeper system. But just before half time, Brendan McVeigh had a fingertip save, you know, turned around the post for 45, and that really kept them in it.
There was a foul in that one, Damien, I'll have to say now.
From Bradley?
From Bradley. He pushed Benny McArdle.
He used his backside.
He pushed him down. And
it's like Rudy Mortar years ago.
It looked a blatant push to me. And fair play to Brendan McVeigh, because they had to get that goal we went in at half time.
It was curtain.
What, 7 points down, and it would have been hard to dig out of that point.
Great credit to Brendan McVeigh, a great save.
Yeah, and even like Ambrose coming back for his first start in a long time, put in a great shift.
He had a great point early on too, Ambrose. And we expect a lot out of Ambrose, you know what I mean? That's just the sort of us. And we're used to expecting things out of Ambrose, but he done his bit today, and I'm sure James took him off precautionary at the time, you know what I mean? Fresh legs was needed, and he'll come good as the championship progresses.
Yeah, it's good for Ambrose today that he's come through the game injury free. You know, it's another game under his belt. He hasn't played a lot of football in the last year, so that's a positive going forward to the Donegal match, that Ambrose came through unscratched today.
Yeah, and a lot of people writing your clubmate off in full forward, saying he's lost it.
He
He
had
had a couple of good turns in the first half of Lightning. They could have had a goal now, but then fisted one over.
he was
He
good.
played very well.
He was good. He was good. Now I was with him yesterday at the Mitch's tournament out there, and he was telling me. He texted me last night. He said he doesn't think he's cut out for management. He reckoned compared to yesterday, it would have been a breeze today in Celtic Park. And I says fair play to you, because it wasn't a breeze for us. Do you know what I mean?
No, watching.
It wasn't a breeze for us watching him.
Yeah.
But that's what he texted me last night, and that's the character of the man. He done the 10s or 12s there yesterday, and he reckoned it was far tougher than anything that we put in front of him in Celtic Park today. And he
What did you
proved
think,
that he-
Damien?
Look, the whole secret about today's game was winning, right? So down went up. I only seen the last 10 minutes because we had another 21 match, and like McKernan's 2 points, like the ones where he come up from the middle of the field, sold it up to just up through the middle of the Derry team and stuck the ball over the bar. Super scores like that breaks the heart of any team. Great scores to be getting. You know, we went into the Sarsfields Wee Club to watch the last 10 minutes. You know, we were sitting there and with the chairs out. And the
Would have
game
been
was
quiet enough in
I
there.
know it was, you know, it was because
Yeah.
you know we hadn't even a clue where the score was going, and if the match came on, and my miss was sitting there and she started squealing, "Come on, there, go!" And everybody sort of, "Who's your woman?" You know.
We only found out you're married to a born woman today, and we didn't know that
Well,
before.
Declan Rooney would be a relation of hers, a cousin, some description of first
Dad had a
cousin.
good game too.
Yeah, it's great to see
Yeah.
him back. He's
Very
good
good
there,
game.
you know.
He had a strong game, and he was romping out of that backer every chance he got. But he seemed to fulfil the role James had planned for him. And like the first half, he was brave too. He kept us in a few times when the pressure was on. Like.
He scored a great point there. When we needed sort of, I think when Derry was on top, he kicked the one from 30 or 40 yards out in the right wing in the first half.
He was very, very good. But I seen I was on the field after, and BBC seen give the match to Mark Poland, but there was different opinions on man of the match. And different ones were saying Callum maybe for a second half performance. At one time, Callum at the last, I'm sure you remembered, he caught one in the air and in his own box,
And he
and
made a vital
he
interception.
made a fatal interception and came out with the ball, and
Yeah.
they worked it out. And times they got there, and another time too in the second half, and there was a ball liced in from the wing, and it was Brendan McVeigh and 2 Derry fellas went for it, and they got a 50 of it, and they missed
Yeah.
the 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went down the field and scored a point, and that was the screw was starting to come a wee bit at that time. You know what I mean? You could feel it in the
We
crowd.
actually looked very fit today. I felt the last 20 minutes we seemed to blow Derry away with
Yeah.
fitness. So
I was
I
talking
met
to
a few
Polly on
boys.
Friday, and Polly just said, "We were with us. We didn't we met Polly."
No, I
No.
missed it.
He said it's the fittest they've ever been.
yeah.
From he's been playing, the training's been that tough. But Professor Minor or Niall Minor's come in and geared everything towards championship.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't pushing them in the January, February for the league. He was all gearing towards championship and showed, you know,
Showed
he knew
today,
what he was
yeah.
doing
And to be
today.
fair to say, like as the match grew on, they seemed to be the fitter side, and they seemed to be, you know, more in them than there was in Derry.
Yeah, yeah.
So they did. Like that James Keelt was bouncing about in the first half. He laced over 4 or 5 points on by any chance he got.
Left
Was
foot
over
was
the
good,
bar.
yeah,
He's a good
yeah.
lad, but
Yeah, quality player.
he fell away
Yeah.
second half, didn't he? Like he didn't. And Owen Bradley's another one. As you say, Damien, Peter Turley he went a bit closer to Benny McCardle.
He was too far away from the first half, and it was still Owen Bradley's a brilliant footballer, but he's quick, he's lightning quick. And if he turns his away when Benny McCardle needed him closer to him, you know, but they probably talked and seen that in the first half.
And
sorted out in the
we haven't
second.
mentioned in the full forward line, Donald O'Hare had won 4. He's pure quality. He the one time we were 3 points up, we went through, and there was a point on. You know what I mean? It would have put us 4 up, and he had the guts on him to go for the goal.
Yeah,
But it
the
hit the
post,
inside of the post and out. But you know what I mean? Everybody was bait, and you know it was only the post to save us. But I thought he was very good today.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on his shoulders going into the day as the, you know, as the only scorer we had. but he stepped up and got 1-4, which was
he
great.
stepped up and got 1-4, and he was very, very good.
I noticed a few things. Your man Hearn, not Brenton Hearn, was taking a 45. The first one sailed over the bar, and every free kick that Derry got or 50 afterwards, Lavery or somebody was in his ear, or standing 5 or 6 yards, you know, not in front of him, but they were chatting the whole time to him, and he missed
I think
2 or
that's
3.
a Kilcoo thing, though.
It's
Isn't it?
the siege mentality.
I thought that was a Donegal thing. We learned that from Donegal last week when the free taken, when the put.
Just to pick up on Donald, I think he's a marquee forward now. He's going to be targeted a lot more when we progress in the championship, which hopefully we do in the Ulster Championship. He's a very, very good finisher, and his runs are perfect. His tackling coming out of defence is also very good. He's going to be a big player in the future for Down.
And like when you see his runs was very good. The time Lavery broke the ball from the defender, that was done. Derry were sort of they were sort of fading a wee bit at that time, and the boy went to pass me. Lavery blocked it, but the run by Donald O'Hare beside him, and the Derry man didn't know what to do. He had Lavery coming at him, and he had Donald there, and Lavery waited to the right second, gave it to Donald. It was a perfect move, but it was the run from Donald, as you said, Ronan, that made everything happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, he's an intelligent footballer, and even Polly was telling us on Friday, it was a good story, that Brendan McVeigh's kickouts were good today. You know, even the one he nearly gave away for a goal, Peter told you he's back to 100, but other than that, he had a good game. And people said maybe Brendan's weakness was his kickouts down the middle all the time.
Yeah.
But apparently in one of the first meetings, Professor Moynihan came in, and Brendan and Michael Cunningham were practicing shots at one and saves, and Moynihan called the two of them over and he says, Brendan, how many shots like that do you make in a match? And he says, well, maybe 2, you know, in a full match, or 3 at the most. And he says, well, how many kickouts do you hit in a match? And Brendan says, well, it depends, like, could be 15 or 20. And he says, well, why are you spending all your time practicing the saves? Why don't you practice your kickouts? And he went away, and the two lads ever since forget about
kickouts.
Worked and kickouts, and you know,
think
through
about
the
it,
league.
it's a very logical thing.
It's simple, but when you know, we would never think of that.
Another thing from the day, boys, and early on in the match, and the boss Cahill had met him at half time out the back, and he was pulling ahead of himself, and he was wondering, and I was wondering myself, and I couldn't understand why Down persisted in standing off and letting the Derry goalkeeper take the short kick out. They never even pressurised in the first half. They seemed to let them, you know, take the short kick out. They nearly let them take the short kick out and let them come on to them. But I noticed in the second half, wee James was squealing about the kick out. You know what I mean? And that part of their game, that's how Derry were, you know, competing with us, because we were letting them get the ball and fighting them onto us more in the first half, weren't we, Ronan?
We seemed to be sitting back a lot more instead of high pressure up the field like Dublin were last night. They seemed to, you know, turnovers were in the half forward line instead of letting Derry come on to us. But in the second half, we stopped that completely.
They stopped that, and as the match fizzled out, the goalkeeper didn't know what to do. You know, at times he didn't know what to do really. You know, because the wee James was heard him squealing from I was in the press box about the kick out. You know what I mean? But as I said, Cahill was wondering at half time about the kick out too. You know, and why could this not be seen? But I don't know why.
It seems to be that both teams played an extra defender, so there should be a knock-on effect on picking guys up for kickouts, and it didn't just seem to be working. I've seen Benny a few times trying to split, but it's very hard to split if 2 guys are going wide.
I've seen Medine trying to split 2 times, but you'd have thought the second half, when they did get it sussed out, Derry couldn't work the short kick out, and it stopped their game, Ronan, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
But it's probably, you know, they're playing this sweeper, everybody's playing this sweeper, and it's vital about keeping possession. So you're nearly letting them have it and saying, come on, try and break us down, and vice versa, you know, because Down took a lot of short kickouts.
They did, and Derry's let them Down take short kickouts
as well.
too.
You know, it's like basketball, full court and press and whatever. But speaking of sweeper systems with Donegal, how do you beat the sweeper system, really?
How do you beat the sweeper system? Pat Spillane says you kick the ball over the sweeper system, over the blanket. So, although it's going to be a massive task to beat Donegal, Down's really going to have their work cut out. Donegal have perfected this blanket. They've actually seemed to have got better this year. It's going to be it's going to be a massive task. How you go about beating Donegal, you know, support play, kicking, you know, do you kick the ball over the blanket as Pat Spillane says? Is it man off the shoulder? it's going to be very hard to break down. You know.
Last year in the Ulster final down, were, you know, they stuck with Donegal for 50-55 minutes.
Yeah.
Then, as James spoke today, and he said they would rather, they were losing by 6, so they had to go for it,
Yeah.
and that opened them up. So they ended up losing by 12.
Yeah.
But this year we spoke about the boys being a lot fitter.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe
Yeah.
they know how to play the system. Last year they just
Yeah.
hadn't got the
Yeah.
fitness maybe to carry it through. But Damien,
Look, Mickey Hart tried to break Donegal down last week, and he couldn't do it. And he went round the outside, and he went back round again, he went back in again. My philosophy is dead simple. You get the ball inside, and you take your scores. Donegal can just get guys back at 100 mile an hour stuff, and I don't care how fast the player is. If you can deliver a good pass, a good pass, it's going to be a tough asking for down, because everybody will be tipping Donegal. They have nothing to lose coming into this game. How do you break the so-called blanket defence down? I said drop it down to 13 aside. Play 13 aside from now on, and that will do away with the sweeper. That's what I think should happen with the GA. I don't know how Down's going to do it. I know, like they say, the Down defence is poor and the forwards are better and all this. It doesn't matter. Down's in the semi-final of the championship. It's going to be an interesting battle, because, you know, Down, they're good in the forwards, and Young O'Hare, super footballer. The big guys in Down today stood up. And when Armagh played 2 weeks ago, our big men were nowhere to be seen. We hadn't got them. Good for Down today that the big men stood up and were counted and were needed. They're going to all have to do that in the semi-final. Maybe just the quick ball in, and it's going to be, everybody's going to, and if you make mistakes, it's going to cost you, and it's going to be goals, I think, and Down can score goals, and I think goals will be the winning of the Donegal match. I think if you can get a couple of goals, who knows, because if you rattle Donegal earlier on in the game, you know, maybe their discipline, and I know McGuinness and all that, but you know yourself, when you go out on the field, it's a different ball game, and everybody will be expecting Donegal to win this. There's no doubt about that. So Down have nothing to lose. It'll be an interesting battle. The blanket defence, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Everybody's playing it. I mean, Glenn's even playing it. 8 points up in a league match. I mean,
Today we struggled with Owen Bradley. You know, Donegal have McBrady, they have McFadden, and they have Murphy. You know, so it's going to be a massive task. Them 3 get marquee guys. It's going to have to be stopped if we're, you know, within the shot.
In fairness to Peter Tully, if Aidan Kiar's hopefully going to be fit, who plays that sweeper, was playing brilliant during the league. You know, he's pulled a calf or something. But hopefully Danny will progressed on. Ambrose have another 3 weeks training.
Maybe Conor Garvey, is he anywhere?
No, Garvey's gone for the year, I think, isn't he? If he gets another bang in the eye, I think he's in trouble, so he has to rest it. So, like them lads coming in, okay, Carl Lacey and Mark McHugh will have another couple of weeks training. But, you know, it's looking up, and Down always play well with the underdogs.
It's going to be an interesting game, like, you know, and I don't know whether it's going to be in Breffni Park or Clonus. I know Paul, you were saying it's going to be
people have seen me coming out to Breffni Park now. How they found that out, or where they find this information out from?
Don't mention Breffni Park to me.
It beats me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Donegal Piero could be doing his job break, maybe, you know.
You know, it beats me how they find this out, but it doesn't matter. One other thing coming out of the whole campaign so far, boys, is the gulf between Division 1 and Division 2 is proven to be massive, and playing in Division 1 is proven to be
better.
The place to be.
Look at Armagh. I mean, we played Galway a couple of weeks ago and we beat them, and we thought lovely stuff, and then we looked what happened Galway in the first round of the Connacht Championship, and look what happened to us in the first round of the Championship. Derry had won Division 2 and they went up. They're up in Division 1 now.
Look what happened to Westmeath yesterday.
There's no doubt. Division 1, there is a huge, it's like the Premiership in England. You know, the top 6 teams, and after that the rest of them don't really count. You know, so it's going to be an interesting championship. It'll be, you know, Down have nothing to lose, right? There's no question about that, and you have to be realistic about the whole thing, how it's going to pan out. But if they get their act together, who knows? I would love to see Donegal being put under pressure early on in the game, just to see how they react. You know, because the last game, like Tyrone, I think Tyrone's predictable on how they do things all the time. You know what it's like what it says in the tin. You know what you get is what it says in the tin with Tyrone, and maybe it's time for a change in Tyrone. Maybe Mickey Hart's there too long. I don't know. Tyrone were never going to beat Donegal last week, never, because
against Donegal you need to get a lead. You know, you need to get in front of Donegal then have them to come and try, and they have to open up to come at you, and that's when the spaces open up. You know, for better teams with good players to pick them out.
Well, that's what I think.
Getting a good start against Donegal.
You can't bring the ball into the tackle with them, because that's proven to be a total disaster trying out with them. But at times today I was looking at it, you'd be in the press box and you'd be looking over the, the whole pitch there, but at times today when Derry were pressing our defenders, to see one kick ball, you're taking out 7 or 8 players, and if you Donny Hughes, we haven't mentioned Donny yet, he's probably back near enough ready roaming. If you Donny roaming that area to receive them balls, it makes down a different team too, boys, and Donny might be,
That's what he said, Paul, the quick ball in, and if you've got good players that can take shots from distance, that's how you can beat Donegal. Like go back even to the Tyrone one last week, they were afraid to take shots. They were afraid they were going round this way. It was like watching a soccer match.
And you have to see it too, Damien. Down's long shooting today. At one time when Derry were sort of on the initiative, I'm sure they thought they had the Down move. They had it snubbed out, but Dackie really stood up and he stuck it over the bar from what was it? It was well out near the halfway line. And you see, whenever your defence, they think they have a man stopped, he's able to do that. It knocks the guts out.
That's as good as a goal. That's as good
it's
as a
goal.
goal.
Good as a goal. That's right.
Even McKernan's bust from the midfield, and he probably wouldn't get that space again, Donegal.
No.
He probably they'd be just lining up to have a go at him coming through. But if he gets the chance and he can do that, them's as good as goals and points.
That point of Dackie Rooney's at the time, the Derry defence thought they had to move snubbed out, but he took a bit of a step and great point, Ronan,
great point. Some brilliant scores today, long range efforts, and again against Donegal, that's what you're going to need. If there's a blanket defence and you get the right guys on the ball that can put it over the bar from 40 yards, that's a massive plus.
You'd be friendly with Donny yourself,
I would be, yeah.
What way he is, or
he's in full training.
Any exclusives for us tonight?
I can give you an exclusive about his uncle.
You'd like to see Donny in for Donegal, wouldn't you?
You would definitely
would. Great act,
Yeah, his
if you
work
come in
ethic.
here during the week, Donny's normally in next door. In that in Darren's place, isn't he?
He looked very brown today, and I have to say, yeah.
He knew it was on the TV, he was in yesterday for 5 minutes.
But what is it, 3 weeks to the Donegal match and plenty of time to get the boys rested up. As you say, Lacey and them will be rested up too, but we'll go at it again, without Downhead on us thinking.
That's
what I mean, Damien?
Of course,
go with the Downhead on you and the jersey, and you'll be thinking of a win.
Well, you know what they say, nothing beats being there.
We're never going to get beat, you know what I mean? As simple as that.
That's it. And
we'll maybe take a quick break on that note and play with some footage from the Mitchell's under 12 tournament yesterday, wasn't it? Under 12
tournament yesterday.
And Mayo Bridge, I think, won the Shield. So we'll play a wee footage now. We'll come back in a minute and we'll ask some more questions, Damien, about the Armagh boys maybe going stateside.
And we just go with them.
Nice shot! 1 minute! He's up! Yes, Sean, yes!
End line, but the keeper is there. James McGillick, there can't be long left here. It's coming out towards the camera here. It's kept in play, well played there. Aaron Keenan rather. Free to the Derry side. Jamie Duggan plays it short. Fintan Bradley rather, but Fintan's shot goes over. And Lavey have won the Yuri Mitchell's Cup here, the Derry side. A great victory. 2 goals and 9 points to 5 points in the end.
here today. Ben, Jimmy, Rory, Mark and Paul.
What about your mommies?
Shona.
Thanks to Mayor Bridge for handling us today into the cup. It was just really happy we won it and the win of everyone for Mayor Bridge.
And that's just some footage of the Mitchell's under 12 tournament yesterday, Paul, in the 42 teams.
42
Give us a wee bit
teams
about
from
it.
all over Ireland. It's nearly got like a mini All Ireland. They were from Meath and Kildare. They were from up as far as Donegal and Galvin. Teams from all over the place. But the story out of yesterday, I suppose about Benny with the wee under 10s in the bridge or the under 12s. They entered the Shield competition and they won it. And I have to say, I only fell out with one man yesterday in the whole day. I mean, I was doing well. Only one.
Do you want to tell us why that was?
I'll tell you why it was too,
Right.
because I've done a bit of photographs for the Mitchells, and I like to get in among the players, and the wee bridge boys are used to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you mean
And
when the
they all
match is
buy-
on?
When the match is actually playing, you know, I like to get in among them.
Play like.
No, get
On
in
the
among
field.
them to get a good photograph, you know what I mean? But
But
one
I'll
of the
tell you what
managers,
happened, right? Wait, hold on.
one of the managers was
During the match, the wee lads was running up the pitch and your man's in the middle of it, trying
On
to
the
get an
field of
action
play.
shot on the field of play.
But the bridge boys is used to me in the field of play, so they knew to run round me. But the we boys didn't, you see. So we're laughing, me and Benny last night. He said that was a great tactic we had today, you know what I mean? But the other story from the day has to be about Lavey, County Derry, and Seamus and Henry Downey managing an under 12 team. It was incredible. Like, you had Kevin McKernan, Donald O'Hare, and Rowan was out, and Benny was there, and it was a mixture of top
And you were
GAA.
there.
I was there too. And young Henry Downey's young son, he's an incredible footballer. I don't know what his first name is, but he could play the tournament. He's miles and miles above everybody. Like, he's an immense talent, and he's Henry's fella. But the two, Henry and Seamus, was there. And it was glad to meet them, and it's these wee things like this here, playing wee tournaments. You meet people like that, and two famous men, two All Ireland winners, and two tight lads, as you well know.
Well, there's no doubt the Mitchells tournament has
Fantastic
brilliant.
game.
I mean, I was involved with their own club for years at it and taking the last day. All was well looked after, and it was always well organised.
Shauna from Days Nation Newry does a lot of organising. Their whole family was there yesterday cooking, and Cal was doing the car park, and Dara was on the bit really letting on he's doing something.
Me and Aidan was there from 7 o'clock on Friday night till about 11, and then from 8:30 the next morning to near 7 that night.
And there would have been a few buses still there, only Romy.
Only arrived with it. But I was doing, that's an odd bit about it, I was doing, Cahill was outside in the road, you know, the chief, and I was inside, and he was going at me, get that bus in. And every bus come in, I was driving, and they were saying to me, "Oh, you can't go into the grass. Come on, come on." I wanked them all. I said, "Don't be worried about getting in, we'll get you out some way." Because I knew Ronnie was the substitute, you know, at the back of it all. But I wheeled them all into the grass, and I knew rightly looking at the wheels, thinking about that much, there was no way out for them, you know what I mean? But we needed to get them in, and that was as simple as that, like.
It's a great competition. Well done to everybody involved, and you do meet great people, and you make great contacts all over Ireland with it. You know, and the Mitchells they've been doing that for years and years and years, and they have it off the tee. So I would say well done to the Mitchells.
The wee fella's called, I think, see it there, End of Downey they call him, but there's a name, we mentioned an odd name here, a young fella's team in this last while, and there's an odd one to watch out for, End of Downey. If he progresses any further than he is, he's ready for under 16 football, and he's only under 12, you know, that sort of a way to him.
Good
He's
lad.
fantastic to watch.
Which is in the genes, it has to be.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And like, he scored 7 or 8 points in the final, and from his left and from his right, and them go games and that's not easy to score points in, boys, as we know. Like the Bridge final, it ended up 4-1, and their final it ended up 1-9 or something. He had 7 or 8 points out of it.
Good lads. It's in the genes.
Super young
Yeah.
fella.
And just running through some of our results from today and last night in the Munster Championship, Kerry 4-21, Waterford 1-4 at one
That's
sided.
embarrassing. I mean, you know, they talk about, you know, fair play and you know, it's being there and all that is nice, but the way Munster is, it's a joke. I mean, Kerry and Cork are going to be playing in the Munster final. They're going to be in the All-Ireland quarter-final without even breaking sweat. I mean, Kerry played last Sunday, then they played last night, and they beat 421-1.
They were worried about the 7-day turnaround.
It's embarrassing,
Ended
you know,
up
and
scoring
like for Pat
4-21.
Spillane to sit and talk about how good Kerry is. I mean, so us couple of boys sitting here probably would have been at Waterford last night. You know, well, he's already been on the field yesterday. Like, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's not fair. The whole thing's wrong. I mean, you know, you look what happens in Leinster, you look what happens in Ulster. I mean, Ulster is a battle every game, and then you go down and you watch what's happening in Munster. It's embarrassing.
Oh, it's true. Kerry and Cork, they really don't need to get their preparation into order until the bank holiday weekend in August. That's what they're preparing for, you know, because it's just Kerry and Cork and Munster, you know.
You know, it's not fair. It's not fair in other counties.
No.
You know.
And Ulster, if you're not up to speed at this time of year, you're gone, boys. Simple as that.
But that is, as you said, the preparation. Like the boys is
Simple as
working
that,
for
like.
3 months before to pick for a match now. Maybe like the Throne boys picking for Donegal, whereas Kerry have an 8 weeks to wait now before they play Cork. You know, so the training is different stages for the same season.
I would even imagine probably the training session they had on Friday night was probably harder than the match they had last night. You know, so it's
Kilkenny holders always said the hardest match they have is
at their own in-house.
games.
You know. I had the great privilege of watching their in-house games one night. The night, this is maybe 5-6 years ago, DJ Delaney got injured. He twisted his knee and Cody went out. It was a miserable wet night. He just goes in, blows the whistle, throws the slither in, and he blew the whistle at half time. There was no other whistle went between that and the whole half. Done the same the second half, and they wanted at it 100 mile an hour. 100 mile an hour stuff, you know. That's probably why they're so successful. But again, it's always good for the few top teams in the hurling as well. You know.
In
like
Dublin yesterday, you mentioned that, another result yesterday.
Leinster Championship, Westmeath 9 points, Dublin 122, and Offaly 112, Kildare 19. I think
You'd
Dublin
expected
Kildare
both
now, don't
results.
they?
And Dublin done well, and as I say, it's Division 1, Division 2 again, and the Gulf's there beside now.
When fairness to Westmeath, Dublin and Croke Park's they're
Dublin
a tough
have won-
task for anybody.
Dublin have unearthed another bit of talent, and this by Mannion.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's about long. Is he about long or?
No, this seems to be his first
first
season.
year.
Tell
They
you
have
what.
3 or 4 debutants last
He's
night.
some player, boys.
you have to realise, lads, they've got about 1 million people to pick from.
Yeah.
He's some player.
Mustn't
Like,
forget that, like, you know.
he was. I know. Well, we're not run Westmeath down in any shape or form. They were in the league Division 2 final, but Mannion yesterday was on. They couldn't even see what road he was going. He was unbelievable.
And then again, Dublin, an unfair advantage from everybody else. Every game they play on that place behind you, Paul. You know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Would you get on the field? What do you think,
We'll
Dave?
take a photograph.
Well,
there.
where do you hear now?
You can play a sweeper.
Where do you hear now? Where do you hear before? I'll be on her next Saturday. We won through yesterday in the Good Old Christie Ring semi-final over, and it was brought over to the yards for the weekend, and there was maybe 1,000 people at it, and we had it in Uri, boys. I'd still be in favour of having it in Uri, and I said it here last week in the show.
But
I'd
there
still
wouldn't
be
have
in
been 1,000
favour.
people in
There
there.
wouldn't have been, right? There wouldn't have been. And another thing I noticed from yesterday, which was good from a down point of view for hurling, you see all the wee children. They were all round Magic. You know, at the end of the game, you know Magic, you played them round.
Yeah.
They were running mad onto the field, you know, to get his autograph. And to see that there, you know, it's all part of the GAA, and they idolise them on. And they
But
don't
Paul,
come to Newry to see
why
them.
would you bring it to Newry if you can get 1,000 people down in the yards? Do you know what I mean? And like, I mean, that's what you want. That you want to bring it where the people's going to come.
And it
to
was
see
tight enough, boys. The game, as the game went itself, at first half it was nip and tuck, and it was fairly level at half time. Down and win by a point, but whatever happened at half time, they just come out and it just wiped Meath out of the field. Your man Clinch, remember I was talking about him. He's Nava.
You told me he was the best.
He'd
free
won
kicker in the
113 against us in the league game. He had 15 points against us in the drawn game last week. He had 5 yesterday. There was a man designated, Connor Woods was put to him and
done the job.
done the job. But Connor Woods had a great game of hurling yesterday, so he had.
And the Meath
And
manager resigned today.
Did he resign?
The
No.
manager, yeah, for some reason.
So that finals on next week, Paul.
That finals next Saturday in
Next
Croke
Saturday in
Park.
Croke
We're the
Park.
big one. There's a Larry Maher, Christy Ring. What's the other one? There's some other one. There's 3 of them on.
Nicky Rackard.
Like a record, yeah.
Nicky Rackard, Larry Maher and Christy Ring. We're on 4 o'clock. 2 finals before Damien, and this is our 3rd one.
That's a great day out. It's a great day out.
One
for
of us
everybody
thinking
playing
you'd want to
Croke Park.
win
It's
one
great,
sometime,
yeah,
wouldn't you?
Absolutely. You know. So
The only one we blip from yesterday is probably one of our best players too, Paddy Flynn. he took a wee bit of the head staggers last minute and got a straight red. You know what I mean? For like you're winning by 10, 11 points, and you know you're in the semi. You know you're in the final at Croke Park next week, and what he done it was a straight red. What he done, and it's unforgiving. And Lou Paddy, I got to know him through, you know, running about a bit round the horn and that. He's a nice lad, but I don't know. He must have just seen red for that second, and he lashed out. And he's gone next week.
Easy done.
But when you look, when you watch the game today, you know, Clare and Waterford. I mean, some of the tackles are going in there today.
And a few sent off in that one, Damien, was there?
No, there wasn't. No, I didn't see anybody. No, I didn't see anybody getting sent off. Again, I was listening to the radio when I seen most of the second half. But I mean, I don't know what I found is in Hurling, because if that was Gaelic football, you would have the whistle would be blown about 26 times. The ball would be moved about 15 times forward, and probably 3 men sent off, and that's only in one incident in the game.
And yesterday, like the hurlers yesterday, the marquee men, as we talked about a while ago for the seniors today, the marquee men stood up. Paul Braniff, Magic Johnson, Kieran Coulter, Conor Woods, they all stood up to mark the terrific games.
When you have the big base that stands up when it's important, it just takes the pressure of everybody else, and then everybody starts, they get more wind in their tummy, they can get going, and everybody going well, and that's what it's about. It's about your go-to men to take the scores, and that's it. And then once
I don't know if you're ever in Ballycrown, Damien, but it's a take enough wee ground. I'm sure you were in it, Ronan. Were you ever in it? No.
Don't play hurling.
I know you don't play hurling. I thought you may have been over there for at some time or not.
It wouldn't give you a
It was packed right round, boys. You know what I mean?
Graham Clark, because I met him at the puck.
Well, Graham's our sub goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, Graham's a lovely fella, and the brother, and when they were doing the puck fada, and great bit of crack, and that would be about my complete knowledge of hurling down in the yards, like, you know. And I've always said I would love to go down and see a couple of games.
Well, Ballycrown was packed yesterday now, and it's a lovely sight. You know, even in photographs there from a match, right? If you're photographing the supporters and an empty stand behind them, you see this load of people. It looks far better and everything's better.
So you're trying to say all the hurling should be down?
No, I'm still saying the hurling should be down. But one thing I did like about yesterday was to see the wee kids bouncing the wire and heading for their hero, whether it be Coulter, whether it be Braniff, whether it be Magic. They were swarming around him for autographs.
But I think, Paul, I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, if that's the feedback that the hurlers get from playing the game down there, that's where you want to play the game. You know, bring the game to where it's important.
And where it's an atmosphere, and lift the team as well.
And everything.
I've seen them lift them a big time in the second half, Damien, on the run out easy winners.
Yeah, great result for Down. Great weekend. It's a great weekend for Down. There's no doubt. You know.
Well, just some results. Munster hurling Clare was spoke about 220, Waterford 115, and the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship Laois 218, Carlow 13 points. I think Carlow ended up with 12 men or 11 men.
Is that the one? I knew there was a load of men sent off somewhere today, but it wasn't. It was Carlow, was it?
It was Carlow, and a few questions just coming in on Facebook and text. Ronnie, when are you back training with Down? Jim Gray wants to know.
I'm waiting on James to ring me.
You're like Paddy Bradley today. I haven't got that phone call yet.
I've no ramp.
Well, Paddy Bradley was about today. Like I seen him talking to.
He was on BBC, but he had a bit of a.
I think he had an
Eamon O'Hara
moment. He had an Eamon O'Hara moment and a Joe Bradley moment.
Well, I seen him outside after the game. Now we were coming out with big smiles on their faces. You know, the time we could get up, and he was talking to Jarlath, and there wasn't too many about at this stage. You know what I mean? Him and Jarlath were having a great conversation, and I had an awful job keeping young Murphy and that in the car from shouting at Jarlath. I said, boys, you can't be doing that now, you know what I mean?
Well,
they wanted to give the arm, you know,
Jarlath
a wee bit of a
probably
jag.
Explaining to Paddy how Silverbridge ladies could beat last night with Ciara Cruppen.
Well, Ocean was there today too, and I'm sure Ocean would be proud enough. Donald O'Hara's his nephew and all that.
Yeah.
He'd be proud to see him doing well there, wouldn't he?
Definitely.
At the end of the day, like.
Well, he always says that that's his nephew, you know, so he's a good lad, like he's a super footballer.
Yeah.
You know, so
You can see a touch of Oisin in Donald.
You
like,
can, you can see the trait. I said it here before, and the trait's in him, like you can see it in him.
And we're glad to have him in the red and black.
And like there's another thing about Donald O'Hara. He was able to turn up at the Mitchells tournament yesterday, and he's playing in a big his first big match really the day. But he's played well in the league and all that, but that's a different ball game. You guys know you were there. You were there before, but he stood up to the mark today too, and the children were around him yesterday, and and he was able to talk to them and give them a wee bit of advice, and you know what I mean.
Probably took the pressure off him a wee bit.
It distracts him. He's sitting in the house, maybe hiding from everybody.
Well,
just thinking about it, you know.
Him, Kevin, and Benny were there. I don't know, I maybe have to have an arm matches tournament before the next match, hey, and get an out 3 of them out, because it didn't do them any harm, boy.
No, it's all about keeping relaxed, keeping focused, and getting ready for the big game, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, and Jim just what finally wants to know, Ronnie, will we put it up to Donegal?
Yes, I think we can. Yeah, I think last year Donegal, as you said earlier, in the last 15 minutes is when they really choked us, and they broke out and counteracted, and a lot of their scores came in the last 15 minutes. I feel with Aidan Carr back would be a positive, with Donny back would be a positive, and I think Down's in a better place this year than they were last year.
We spoke before, after going to all the National League games, Down have played a lot better this year than people give them credit for, and the results showed maybe.
Yeah.
You know, we all coming away from matches, okay, the Cork match, you know, with the Kildare, okay, Kildare never showed up, but some of the league matches, we came out of the ground after getting beat, but really proud of the way the boys had played, and delighted with the way, you know, we knew there's something there. Donegal, okay, they're all these 6 foot plus machines, you know, they're supposed to be the fittest in Ireland, the strongest in Ireland, but Down have the footballers maybe to, you know, the what do they call it, pick the lock
And
get through that system.
Damien, we've just unearthed these amazing facts. We've just unearthed one here.
Somebody sent you in.
They're getting that famous now, they're sending them in to me, but this is true. This is true. In 1968, Down won the first round of Ulster, beating Derry in the Battle of Ballinascreen. Right? They then went on to beat Donegal in the semi-final and Cavan in the final, and that could pan out this year too.
Yeah.
It's not beyond the realms of thinking. I know the way Cavan played Armagh. I mean, it'd be hard enough to stop on that side of the ground.
Well, you know, they play for Fermanagh, so Cavan will not fear Fermanagh in any one way or another. Absolutely won't.
No winners play Monaghan or Antrim.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, if you were Cavan or Fermanagh, you would be fancying your chances to get into the, to progress on. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I don't know about Dunn, whether he would get as much space as he got against Armagh. You know, he'll not get that, I wouldn't think.
No.
Fermanagh, on the other hand, they have a load of injuries. I don't know how bad they are, or how much maybe Peter's taking a wee bit of Mickey here and playing a wee bit to the media in that context. I don't know, but Cavan is well fit to beat Fermanagh, and then you'd fancy Monaghan to beat Antrim without. I mean, I would without a doubt.
You would, but I
would fancy that.
I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't just rate Antrim off.
Well, I know, but I
mean, things are not going well there, Damien, and they could bounce back and give Monaghan a bit of a shot.
But if you look at that, Paul, you know, there is the possibility that you could have a Cavan Down final.
There is a possibility, and that's a fact from '68 that the Battle of Ballinascreen. That's the first time I heard it described as that. Maybe you know that.
No, I wasn't born. I wasn't too young.
Well, yeah.
Too young when them tests.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact just to write through.
The only problem I think with Cavan being is, you know, they underestimate Fermanagh. Get into it. You know, Armagh's a bigger fish on paper.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think the Cavan backroom team will be cute enough to know that they'll not let that happen. Yeah. But it's like everything else. Once you go out in the field and once you step inside them white lines where photographers are not supposed to be, I think then, you know, the footballers, and maybe this is something, I think the footballers now are not allowed to think for themselves. You know, watching some of the games, the footballers, and you did say it a minute ago, they're like machines. You know, like sometimes footballers, they have to take responsibility and they have to make the decision, is this the right thing to do, and go and do it. Yeah. And sometimes, are they allowed to go up and catch the ball? No, I've been told to break that ball down because Paul Rooney's going to be coming in to get the break ball, or Damien Roberts. You know, if the catch is on, you take it and whatever. Right. I think footballers now, and it's just, maybe it's myself the way I'm looking at games, but I think that footballers just don't have that capability anymore, because it's the way they've been coached, the way they've been trained, and you know, it's everything about the team and how everything moves forward and moves back and all that. But sometimes you need a wee bit of flair to unlock.
Well, that's what's going to win and lose games. You know, there could be 10 or 12 boys in each team are machines and given the job.
Yeah.
And like as a defender, as a cornerback, sometimes if you didn't touch the ball, you know, as long as your man didn't touch the ball, you had a good game. Yeah. Whereas if you're corner forward or full forward, you need to score 4 and 5 points. But teams are all doing the same training, the same preparation, the same work. They want it as much, but it comes down to the 2 or 3 special players. Yeah. The Mark Polans, the Marty Clarks, the Jamie Clarks, the pick.
That's exactly
the quality footballers, the Duns,
O'Hara
makes a difference on the day. Yeah. You know, your McFadden last week taking the goal chances when they got it.
If you go back 2 years ago, Colin McFadden couldn't have scored if he had been there for a week. You know, and he's scoring now. But you know, where are they going to play Michael Murphy? Are they going to play him in the forwards? Or are they going to play him out around the middle
I
of the
think
field?
they play him out around the
You
middle,
know,
Damien.
So,
Which is better for.
well, I mean,
think,
if
I think
I'm a
that-
down man, I'd rather see Murphy out the field.
Yeah.
I think he
rather-
will be out the
What
field.
did you say?
I'd rather see him out the field.
You're a down man.
No,
is
if
that
I
what-
was a down man.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
said you were a down man.
You know, I mean, I would prefer. Well, I'm already a down woman. That's probably as good as it gets. You know, I would prefer to see him out because if he's out there, he's not going to be scoring in the inside line. I know they've got good inside men too, and that's something that obviously
McBrearty's,
yeah, he's a great
he's
lad,
going to be some.
You know,
I would worry more about him than I would about Murphy and McFadden and Hardy. And the way he's proven to be, like, you can't be taking, as you say, there's 10 or 12 boys in that field that train for a certain thing, but you can't take the natural ability away from the like of Donald O'Hara, Brearty, Dunn. If you do that, you destroy them as a player. You know, you do, don't you, Damien?
Yeah. But that's what we're saying, them boys. You know, Jamie Clark, he's not forced to do the weights and the training of everybody else because he has the talent of what he is. And okay, he didn't score the last day, but how could he score when there's
well, you had him playing for Cavan, he probably would have scored in 620.
No doubt.
the system maybe doesn't suit him? You know, the system that Cavan played, he wasn't allowed to do anything.
You know?
Well,
Well,
we're
Cavan, obviously, Cavan just filtered a load of men back and put 6 men around the 2 Armagh forwards. They were never going to
And it's a
score.
results game at the
Yeah,
end
so
of the day.
that's-
But
that's it, yeah.
before we leave it, the 4 Armagh lads heading away.
Yeah, it's disappointing from an Armagh point of view, you know. It probably doesn't surprise me because I have a nephew over in Australia. He was in New York last year, and McKeever and Clark, they were over last year they played for Leitrim and won the
Won the
New York
championship.
Championship.
Brent Donaghy
I
was
suppose, like, if these lads are getting work, whether they're getting work or not, I don't know. They have to be sanctioned to go over to play, and I don't think that's true yet. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and it's probably not the last of inter-county players heading across.
No,
the
you'll see it,
Atlantic.
The 4 boys, Declan McKenna, Gavin McPartland, Peter Carragher and Michael Stevens.
Well, Stevenson, he was going to work anyway. He's away for a year anyway to work somewhere. But it's disappointing from an Armagh point of view because, like, them lads have been training all year, and it's, you know, well, what it does is it probably causes aggravation in the camp, you know, and then after the Cavan result, probably things
Well,
weren't.
the management have come out and supported them and
Well, I
told,
mean, but Paul, what do
told
you
the
do?
fans not to judge them and all this.
But what do you do if the lad has an opportunity to go and
You don't come out and
in
make
this-
statements, you let them go on alright, but you don't come out and
keep the head down, saying that?
you keep the head down.
I thought that
and
Armagh's
work.
come out with a lot of statements
You know,
recently,
I
like
was a bit
grimly apologised for the performance. You don't need to do that.
No, because I mean the performance spoke for itself.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to say anything. You know, you better just would have been saying nothing, getting on with the game, and
He also has a statement on this too. He's asking the supporters not to judge the players harshly and you know,
Like
not
it's,
to
it's,
be-
it's you know it's a hard one for Armagh because you know after the Cavan result things aren't good, and you know if we pull a tough team in the qualifiers, you know it's going to be an horrendous summer for Armagh. I mean we're out of the minors, we're out of the 21s, then we're maybe no senior football the rest of the year. It's going to be a hard year for Armagh. But Armagh now, you know, this sort of reminds me of the mid-90s when Armagh were like. I mean, where's Armagh sitting now in Ulster? You know, we have the players. There's no doubt about that. And particularly with St Paul's and the way they're going, Armagh have the footballers, but there's just something not working, and I don't know what it is. It is frustrating from an Armagh point of view because you know we go to all the matches and you see, and you know, I mean all the lads put the effort in, and the results aren't coming. And you know you talked about playing corner back. If you kept your man scoreless and he didn't score, you done a good job. A load of fans down there. Look at the one by Roberty. He's no good. Look, what did he do? He done nothing.
Yeah,
But yet you kept your man from scoring.
Yeah.
You know, and you've all that to contend with. And you know, I suppose as
I
Benny
spoke to
says,
Ross last Sunday night here, and Ross made a good point. Our Armagh supporters were spoilt over the last 10 years because such good footballers getting the 8 or 9 Ulster finals. Now when they don't, you know, are the expectations too high?
well, you know, there's no doubt about that. Armagh we had a great team for that length of time. There's no question about that. You know, I think the Armagh fans would know. I'm not looking. You're not looking to win every game. Armagh's the second smallest or third smallest county in Ireland, fourth smallest county in Ireland. So we're not going to be competing with the big boys all the time. But you want to be up at that table, at the top table, being able to compete. You know, if Armagh, you know, if you do well in the Ulster and get a good run in the qualifiers, that's fairly good. That's what you're looking for. So if Armagh get a tough draw in the championship, Damien, and like say if Armagh pulled, maybe they'd want to pull Tyrone. Maybe that might be the game from the pull.
They lift them
Would they
down.
prefer to pull like Tyrone or
Waterford.
Waterford? Well, I wouldn't mind Waterford because I would love a weekend away. It would be.
You
We
might
did
get a
play
game.
Waterford. We played Waterford in 2003, believe it or not.
Right.
down after. Remember, Town Monaghan beat us in the first game in Ulster, and they went down to Waterford, and we played Waterford. That was a great weekend. That's a long time ago. I don't want to be going on the scenic route, but maybe that's what it might take. It's going to be a tough time for Armagh, and things aren't good. But you've people trying.
As long as you're progressing every year, nearly that's all you can ask for.
That's all I want to see. I want to see, if you're here this year and you're here next year, that's progression.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go from here and win Ulsters and all that. But the way the draw was made up, every Armagh fan probably would have thought this is a great chance for us to get to an Ulster final. Without a doubt, it didn't happen.
And we're quickly running out of time, so we'll go through the minors.
We forgot about the boost for down for the weekend. Beat everybody in sight. The minors, Ronan, what did you make of that?
I was very impressed with the minors today, especially with young Grimley at midfield and Corey Quinn. Corey Quinn, I think, scored 1-4 from play. An excellent finisher, and will be a massive positive for Mayo Bridge seniors alongside Benny when it comes championship time. But they were very positive. They attacked well. They were aggressive. They moved the ball quickly, and I was very impressed with the minors now. So hopefully they can go forward.
And big Donal McKeever playing from number 5 scored the first goal for us, and soon after the exact same move again. I think the ball was delivered to him by number 4 Dundrum, Aidan Fagan. Great game he had. But he delivered that ball to McKeever for that first goal, and shortly after he delivered now, and McKeever just put it past the post. For number 5 to get up into the box and a couple of chances for goals, they were doing things right, Ronan, weren't they?
Definitely. The Down Miners, I was very impressed, and I was very impressed with our spine up the middle. Very big, very physical and strong. So onwards and upwards for the Down Miners, and hopefully we can get to an Ulster final.
Physically very big, and young lad Haven from Saville appeared on the scene and banged a cracker of a goal.
Yes, 2 Saville lads today, young Dobbin as well.
That's right, she is young, but she is another year.
He's another year, put in a good shift, and I was impressed with him.
And Conor Doyle from Estraver, he was going rightly, but they pulled him off with 10 minutes to go. He might run out a bit of steam. His ball handling let him down. The number 14, McGrady, big, huge full forward.
Huge full forward, yeah.
He had 4 points today too.
He had 4 points. He was very impressive now, so hopefully he can carry that on, and I would like to see him maybe progress into the seniors in another few years.
Well, they have Tyrone in the semi-final, and it'll not be easy, you know what Tyrone's like, but they're a very capable side, and as you say, the spine of the team's physically very for down
strong.
Men.
They're
also
very
the
2 cornerbacks were very good today, I felt, as well.
Aidan Fagan from Dundrum had a super game. I thought he had a great game. The other one's wee Ryan McGee from Warrenpoint, he is.
Yeah, and Warrenpoint seem to have a lot of underage guys now that's involved at county setup, whether it be minor, under 21 and senior. So I predict Warrenpoint in the next number of years to be a big threat. They'll be up, I would think, at the top table.
Well, there's a couple of boys on, and the 2 or 3 subs there as well. Young McAleenan too. Number 12 was very good. I know he didn't score much, but he covered some amount of ground. It was unbelievable.
Now, who do they play now? Do they play Donegal?
They play Tyrone in the next round, so they get some momentum from that. Minors get big momentum from a win in the championship.
You never know with minors either on the first day, because nerves can get the better of some of them. You know, they might be impressive in the league game, but minors can be hit or miss sometimes, you know. But I'm sure Pete will be very happy with today's performance.
And if you took young Niall Loughlin out of the Derry side, he scored what, 1, 2, 3, 4. He scored 7 points.
He scored 7 points, but the first half he was very, very impressive. But Down got to grips with him then in the second half, something similar to the senior game. But definitely he was their marquee man.
Well, the man missing from it, and we've come across him, Damien, early in the season. We've done a bit of commentary on the college match. Johnny Tallon. He get injured or something during the week. He was to start corner forward, and he was replaced by Conor McKenna, you know, wearing the number 15. But he's a big player. I mean, we seen him earlier on that day. And
McCrory winners, Hogan winners.
A big, huge fella, and he'd be a big miss for Derry, would he?
Yeah.
I thought the old man for Derry stood a wee bit out from me was your man Ocean Haggerty at number 4 was very good for them too.
Number 4 had a good game for Derry.
He was a great wee man, and he seemed to get a lot of ball, you know what I mean? But as I say, our minors, McGrimley and McClemens in midfield, they're 6'4" each.
Yeah.
They're mobile.
Yeah.
Minors, yeah.
It's great that we've stole Grimley from the Armagh setup. So
He's not the
We didn't
first
steal
to.
him, no, we didn't steal him, but he has the height of them. And
He's
he-
good. He's good.
The only difference in him and the Grimley is he's more mobile.
Yeah. We've got to not send off because we don't want a Joe Bradley incident.
No, we don't want to Joe
Yeah,
Bradley,
yeah,
but this lad, he's big, and you find big
good
lads
lad,
like that.
He's a good
They
footballer.
don't have mobility, but they have, Ronan. haven't they?
definitely, yes. Young Grimley was very impressive today. Very, very impressive. And he mixed it well. He
And he
caught the
carried it
ball. He
into them.
carried the ball. So hopefully it could be a Grimley name on the Down Seniors in 4 or 5 years' time.
We've another question just coming in. You mentioned Warren Point there, and I know Fergal McCormick's doing a lot of work. They were winning a lot of young lads back from the soccer because they were doing well, but with Warren Point getting promoted in the soccer to the first, do you think that's going to affect the Gaelic in the future?
Possibly.
You're shaking your head, David.
Yeah, possibly it could. But Warren Point have a big pick there. You know, it's different for the likes of maybe Mayo Bridge, Kilcoo. They only have Gaelic. Ballyholland just Gaelic. With Warren Point having the soccer, there's going to be, competition there. You know, if a guy can't get on the Gaelic team, maybe he's playing soccer.
Yeah.
He's going to maybe commit full time to the soccer. You know,
Yeah.
you have John Boyle and Johnny Kahn, who are excellent Gaelic footballers, but are also very good soccer players.
Yeah.
And for Warren Point to go forward and to win championship games, they need them two players playing Gaelic for them. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see what in the next number of years what them lads.
You
is
can't
gonna
see
do.
them lads leaving the soccer, and they're actually somebody out there commenting saying maybe it'll stop them going to Burn.
Don't start over now. Just when you're talking about the day, and with one more thing, with a car off coming up the road in the car, that's what football's all about, is the crack before you go in and before you come out.
The tea and the
And the
sandwiches.
hard
meat and
and the
you know
free
this
tea and the sandwiches.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at, the boys were saying about the pen packs, you know what I mean? And I have a few pages in this programme, 4 or 5 pages in this one, Damien, but Ulster Council rang me the other night in a state of stress, and I'd forgot all about the pen packs. It was Tuesday night, the programme's getting printed on Wednesday, so I had
Yeah.
to guess everybody's age.
I was
everybody's
wondering
height.
there was nobody under
Everybody-
14 stone.
Everybody's age, everybody's height, and everybody's weight. And I had to text the boys, you know, to let them know. But we have a lot of boys over 6 foot there if you look down through it, and with 14 and 15 stone.
There's nobody under
heavyweights.
14 stone.
And Wackbone's 5'11" suddenly, and you know, things like that. But
Donal O'Hare's 13.5 stone.
parts of that there,
And Benny's 32.
that's all
Yeah,
part of the
31.
crack, you know what I mean? Like, things they got there happening in Gaelic, and that's part of the crack. And the boys in the changing room would have as much a laugh at that there as we're having here.
They
tonight,
talk
you
about
know
the
what I mean?
inches in sport making the difference. Maybe the Derry boys opened that.
And scared the life.
And
out of
scared
If
the
you
life
look
out of
that
them.
there now, Down have about 8 or 10 men over 6 foot.
But don't be
tall.
going by that there. You made it up.
But that's what I'm saying, that's part of the crack of the GAA. You know what I mean? I hope the Ulster Council, Ryan Feeney's watching, I'm in trouble. But,
The players probably wouldn't even be reading that, like, you know.
oh, they would read it.
Oh, they
you
would,
know,
yeah.
for
You
sure,
know,
they would read every
You know,
inch
God,
of that
I'm
really.
14 stone and 6'2". That's brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
Callum King, 16 stone and 6'5".
He's lost a bit, hasn't
Huge, Georgia.
he? He's lost a
He's a
bit.
huge man altogether.
But like,
That's part of the crack of the whole thing, and it's the build up. You're involved in the build up. We all are.
yeah, I know the build up. I know the build up's fairly good and all that. My wife's on the phone here, so if you want to say hello, you can say hello.
Yes, yeah. So,
We'll tell you about in 2 minutes when we finish now. I'll run through some of these results just, and then we'll have a quick word before we go. The darts, sponsored by Newry City Tires, knockout cup final results. Premier Division, McCoy's A4, Nummy's A5. Division 1, CWC A7, Ballyhole 9 F2. Division 2, Trainers Bar 4, Lumpers Bar A5. Division 3, 3 Steps B4, McCoy's C5. And Division 4, Forkill GFC C5, Windmill Bar B4. In the rearrange games, Division 4, Trainers Heroes 4, Charlie's Angels 4, Howes Barrowmeath 3, Seasiders ANF C5, Armagh Down Ladies 2, and Boyd C2. Caribbean League, the Far Davis Cup final was Thursday night. Ballabot 2, Newry Celtic 1. So Ballabot won the Far Davis, well done to them. I think they're still in McLogan's celebrating. The Newry and District. You don't like the soccer ball, do you?
No, I don't mean the soccer.
Newry and District Pool League, Cunningham Cup final result, McGuigan's A7, Quayside Rams 2. So McGuigan's A win the Cunningham Cup. And the pool overall individual results, played at TJ's Table 1, Damien McAteer 0, Gary McAllister 2, Jack Courtney 1, Manny Bourne 2, Kevin McGee 2, Shane Dornan 1, Mervyn Kiernan 2, Cahill Phelan 0. At TJ's table 2, Barry Murphy 2, Joseph McTaggart 0, Raymond McKenna 2, Neil Heaney 0, Kieran Hanna 2, Gary Markey 0. Played at Armagh Down, Paddy Tavey 2, Niall O'Hagan 1, Kieran O'Neill 2, Declan McConville 0, Tommy Mooney 2, Billy O'Neill 0, Paul Murphy 0, Tristan Bourne 2. That's only halfway through it. Played at McGuigan's, Lawrence McAlinton 2, Johnny McArdle 0, John McMurray 1, Jared McGuigan 2, Collie McCann 0, Dermot Lonergan 2, Michael Nugent 2, Seamus Keane 0. Played at Bellini's, Padraig McComiskey 2, Mickey Lennon 0, John McCloy 0, Collie Loughran 2, Damien McArdle 2, Lee Irvine 0, Bernie McGee 2, Nathan Sands 0. And played at the Celtic Workmen's, Keir McMahon 0, Seamus McGagan 2, Aidan McKevitt 0, Damon McAllister 2, Barney Priest 1, Aidan Murphy 2, Jimmy McVeary 0, Steve No 2. At TJ's table 3, Mickey O'Hanlon 0, Gavin McGee 2, John Nettle 2, Michael Taggart 0, Martin O'Callaghan 0, Niall McVeary 2, Aidan Griffin 2, Jason Lennon 0. And at TJ's table 4, Damien Flanagan 1, Paul McAreevy 2, Robbie White 0, Paddy Clark 2, Paul Morgan 2, Martin Reevy 0, and Cal McCoy 2, Sean Bell 1. That's what you have to look forward to, all that pool running. You're playing the pool when you hang up the boots.
If Robbie White could concentrate.
Is Robbie White playing? That real Robbie White? You're Robbie White?
That's our Robbie White, yeah.
Playing
We concentrate
Did he
more.
win?
Gaelic.
Somebody said he turned up to play pool in his boots.
Did he win?
He won, I think, yeah.
Is he fit? I mean, he's not playing, is
He's
he?
injured at the minute.
Oh,
He
he's a
should
good
be
lad.
back. He's a
good
very,
lad.
very good footballer. Very good footballer.
Speaking of Robbie, he's done a bit of work for in the ice bath. You have the ice baths up and going again.
Ice
around the
bath's
gym.
quite busy at the minute. Yeah.
Don't get Nidlet now.
For anybody out there that's injured or wants sports recovery, call around to the Win Industrial. You're more than welcome.
It's up and going. A lot of teams using it at the minute, trying to get boys back from injuries. But again, next Friday night with the Furies, tickets selling out fast. I think it's 9:30 to start it, but there's somebody on 8 o'clock. Get your tickets in Bellini's, Garland Records, or here at the studio. And finally, we'll have Paul's amazing
I
fact.
wore to the darts last night. Eric Bristow was
I'm after
in
eating
town.
out a load of darts.
Ah, but Eric Bristow was in
I
town.
didn't
Keith
know
Gallagher
that,
playing,
like.
yeah.
He was
I think,
playing
yeah.
at some
In the town
club.
hall.
They were playing
yeah.
the town hall, yeah.
No word of what happened. No
Well,
word.
I know Remy Card was going into play. I don't know if he played or what happened, but all I know is that's what
We
he was
were
saying.
in
It was a
Yeah.
fundraiser for Cranchigo, yeah.
Me and Dara was in yesterday setting up a camera, but I never heard really what the outcome of it was. You know what I mean?
Eric Bristow, what a name. You know, you're talking about amazing facts. Like, I mean, he was the guy that unleashed Phil Taylor to the darts world, and the rest is history.
Phil Taylor thanks, doesn't he? Thanks.
Oh, well,
for
he
giving
was the
the
man.
money or something to go to the first tournament.
Yeah, well, he was the man. He was the man that found Bristow found Taylor. He sort of tutored him
Right.
and brought him along, and then Taylor just went on and won everything in front of him.
Became better than Bristol.
Yeah.
But this week, Damien, on Amazing Facts now was flat out all week between hurling, between the
Don't be making
Mitchells,
excuses. now
between the
for all this
Mitchells,
time.
between hurling and between Down Seniors, and we won everything. And minors. I found one anyway on the travels, and it's relating to the Sam Maguire trophy, the actual trophy we're all wanting at the end of the day. You know what I mean, Damien? That's what we're.
Is this the first one or the second
That's what
one?
we're shouting for. This is the first one. The Sam Maguire trophy. Now you have to listen to this
Go
one.
ahead.
It was modelled on a chalice that ranks with the Book of Kells as one of the finest works of art in Ireland, and is thought to have been made in the 8th century. They were not finished. The chalice was found in 1868 by two boys, Jim Quinn and Paddy Flanagan. They decided to do a bit of they were going to make a few quid, and they were putting in a field of spuds. So they had the horse and cart out, and they had a big stone. And when they moved the stone, the chalice, I don't know, Sean, is an image of it, haven't you? Have you it up there, Sean? When they moved the stone, this chalice was in under it. It lay there from the 8th century for 1,000 years, and the two boys, Jim and Paddy, found her in the field. There she's there. She lay in the field, and it was in a village in Ardara in Limerick. It was covered by a slab of stone, and that's the Sam Maguire's modelled on this thing here. And we're thanking the night. Fair play to Jim and Paddy on the decision to stick in a few buds, because only for them, you never know what sort of trophy we would have had.
But, Paul, but you never said why it was sitting in that field.
Don't know why it was said. Well, I didn't find
It
that.
was taken away from a monastery because the Vikings were.
Well, that's how we're modelled on that
down
there.
Maiden, and all the stuff was taken away and buried in the fields.
Jim Quinn and Paddy Flanagan found her in 1868 in a village in Limerick. Fair play to them, because if they hadn't found her, you wouldn't know what would have.
And I don't think
And it suits the competition, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
it'll be a good while before the Sam McGrath's back in Limerick. I
So we
think.
have to say, fair play to the two boys in the Lock of Spuds. You know what I mean?
And that's Paul's amazing fact for this week. We're looking forward to next week's. But that's us up now.
I got
The
him
boys
now.
have a competition here about amazing facts.
Well, I'll give you one.
Right, go give us
Right.
one now.
10 days before she died, O'Neill
You have to know the answer to this now.
surrendered his army to the English crown. Who died?
Say that again.
She died, and 10 days later, or 10 days before she died, Hugh O'Neill surrendered his army and held on to his power. You don't know what I'm talking about?
I'm not clue
No.
what you're talking about.
You don't know your history. It's an amazing fact.
You were going destination history.
Oh yeah, there's an amazing fact, because when Queen Elizabeth I died, right, she died 10 days after O'Neill surrendered his army, and if he had held on for another 10 days, the course of Irish history may never been the same, and the Sam Maguire Cup may never been found.
There
Amazing
you are.
fact.
They are Dar Chalice, they call it.
There you go.
There you are.
Two amazing facts for O'Neill, or
So
something
there you
new
go.
there.
History
You
there.
learned. You learned. You maybe never had her. You never won a Roman, but it suits the competition, and that's the story of it. And it's an old couple.
Yeah, well, tell you what, could be another 800 years before we get our
On that
hands
note,
on it.
we'll finish there. And thanks again to Ronnie Murder for coming in. He's going to Bellini's with Dara now tonight. So
And thanks to
Take care,
Sean. We
Bellini.
keep forgetting about poor Sean. He's here every Sunday night and
thanks to
does
Sean.
a great job.
And he's on his last warning again. He got no last.
No, we're not giving him any warnings tonight.
We'll join in next week again. We're here, aren't we? 7 to 8.
Mickey Linton's coming in next week, so it'll be interesting. Better crack next week. And
And we'll
another
talk
old
about the
stalwart from the 91-94 campaign. Be good crack.
show. So I'll see you next week. Thank you.